In today's show, wrapping up our season preview series, looking at Rob Williams, Blake Wesley, and Duop Reath. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You listen to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts, and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen. Coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're wrapping up our season preview series. We've done everybody on the roster except for one. I'll get to that except for one in a moment. But our final three today, Rob Williams, Blake Wesley, and Duop Reath. If you've missed any of our others, YouTube viewers, there is a playlist on my channel page with all of your season previews. And if you are a audio listener, they're all labeled season previews in your feed. Go back and listen to them. You still have time before next week's opening game to listen to all of these. We're a week out. When the Blazers season starts in earnest on October 22nd. You're listening to October 16th program, so you can cram in all of your season previews over the weekend and get your fix on everybody. We'll get into everyone in a moment. I have decided, just as an executive decision, I'm not going to do a season preview for Damian Lillard. I'll talk about him. I'll do a big show on him at some point, and I'm certainly going to, if he's available to chit chat and kind of talk with him about what it's like to be a coach and all of that. I've spoken with him a little bit, but not anything like on the record shareable here on this program. But I'm just like, he's not going to play this year. He's been pretty much as direct about it as you can be. So doing a season preview for a guy who's not going to participate doesn't really make sense. We will talk about Dame at some point, but not in the shows. We're going to start with Rob, then we'll do Blake Wesley. We'll close the show with Duop Reath. Let's talk Rob Williams. What we do in these shows, or what we do in these previews, we'll do look back to look forward, how each of these guys performed in their 24-25 season. We'll do best and worst case scenarios, and then realistic role and expectations for this season. Let's start with Rob. Last year, Rob appeared in 20 games for the Portland Trailblazers. Average 5.8 points, 5.9 boards, and 1.1 assists. He started 3 of those 20 games. He played 17.6 minutes a night, and his season just got off rocky. He had a grade 1 hamstring strained his left hamstring in training camp. He misses the first 9 games, and then he makes his season debut on November 8th, and it's immediately clear that Rob Williams is a player. 13 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 2 blocks, a steal in 17 minutes. Hello, welcome, Rob Williams. But the Blazers are cautious with him, right? He plays 17 minutes in that debut in November, and he doesn't play back-to-backs all season long. He does not play more than 25 minutes early in the season, and then less than 3 weeks after making his debut, he gets concussed. He plays a game against the Grizzlies, gets caught, hit square in the nose, and gets concussed and missed 2 weeks, missed 7 games as he was coming back from a concussion. Then he comes back and plays 3 games and sustains an ankle sprain in a game against the Spurs in late December 21st. So he misses 8 of the next 10 games trying to get back from this ankle sprain. Then he returns to the active roster in mid-January, but he has a right hand injury, and by he's playing these minutes and games in here, but it's just like he's having little things, but nothing major, right? Like we're talking an ankle sprain, a concussion, a hand injury, but no knee stuff, no lower body stuff, the stuff that has like plagued him to this point. But he's playing, but he hasn't been like really stretched into like major minutes. He's not playing more than half the game. They're keeping him around 20 minutes, not playing back to backs. Finally, in late January, we'll get to late January, and Rob Williams picks up his first DNP CDs of the season. That is, did not play coach's decisions. There have been nights where he was scratched and he just like, you're not going to play. You're not even on the active list. It's a Donovan Clingan night. When we got, into the second half of the season, there were nights when Rob Williams was available to play, and it was notable, at least here on this podcast. He gets his first game where he is on the active list and doesn't get into the game. And maybe the speculation at this point is like, oh, Well, the first week of February is the trade deadline. They're going to trade Rob Williams. Then he's still on the team. February 6th, it passes, and Rob is not traded. He's had a pretty solid season, albeit with some bumps and bruises, but like he's clearly good. Like I think I said even on the podcast, like it's hard to call him the Blazers' best player just because of how little of availability and how little he plays. Like he's playing under 20 minutes, best big, I should say. So not their best player, but best big man. But but when he plays, he probably puts up the best big man minutes. It's just like he doesn't play enough to like really make that argument in like a strong way. By the end of the year, I kind of was like, yeah, I don't think you can call Rob their best big. He doesn't play enough. So he doesn't get traded, and then right after the trade deadline, February 8th, he leaves the game early against Minnesota. He played 8 minutes and leaves the game early. And he sits out the final couple games before the All-Star break. They play the All-Star break. He comes back. He plays 25 minutes to the Lakers, and he was really good. Plays really well after the All-Star break. Rested back, plays his biggest minute share of the season, and then he misses the next game with right knee soreness. A couple days later, prior to a game against the Jazz, Chauncey Billups tells reporters pregame that Rob is dealing with a little bit of swelling in his knee. That's on February 24th, and then after that, the injury report changes from soreness in his knee to a sprain in his knee on February 26th. And a month later, in March, Rob never returns to the lineup. A month later, he has arthroscopic knee surgery to address inflammation in his left knee. At the time, the press release reads that he will miss the next 4 to 6 weeks and is expected to make a full recovery. Fast forward to October, and Rob Williams has not been cleared by the Blazers for full contact. He's back doing half-court stuff in practice, according to Joe Freeman of the Oregonian, but he is not fully back and playing yet. And he was very coy about it at Media Day, saying like, yeah, we'll see what it is. Rob's played 26 games in 2 seasons in Portland. He's undergone surgery on both knees. His right knee in November of 2023, his left knee in March of 2025. I typically do best and worst case scenarios here, and I'm going to do it with the other 2 guys, but I'm going to keep it very brief with Rob. The best case scenarios are typically on this show within reason and without injury. So reasonable best case scenarios and the worst case scenarios without injury. But I don't think you can reasonably talk about Rob Williams and his place in the league without talking about his health. The best case scenario is that Rob is able to play 45, 55 games. 65 games, although I think that's probably even higher than I would say. We'll call it 50. The best case scenario is that he's available for 50 games. He's a high IQ player on both ends of the floor. He has a strong defensive impact as a big man off the bench. His passing unlocks a lot of what the Blazers want to do with their movement and cutting heavy offensive system that they hope to unleash and really dial in this season, and that he is a highly useful, albeit low minute player in his return to the court. The best case scenario is that Rob Williams, when he gets to the spring, is available to play games in the spring and gets to end the season on his own terms. And the worst case scenario is that we're still talking about his body and what ifs and how unfortunate it is. It stinks. Rob's situation just feels pretty heavy to me, right? Because it is every, professional athlete or, I guess there's some bad folks who play professional sports across the world, but like Rob is a good dude. And, you want people to step away from the game if they have to on their own terms, or get to decide have their skill set decide what is and isn't their sort of future in the league. Rob's is going to be health related. He's still a young man, but he just hasn't been able to play. He hasn't played 60 games since the 21-22 season. He of course came back from a knee injury in that season to play in the playoffs, and it kind of just set his whole trajectory awry. And he just hasn't been healthy since then. Rolling expectations. If he were available, I think he is a very similar to last year, a guy who they cap around 17, 18 minutes maximum a night, doesn't play back-to-backs. They'll be very conservative with him. I don't think he'll play. I think he would immediately, surpass Young Hansen as the backup center. But even if he were available, he's going to have a somewhat limited role in terms of minutes. And obviously they're going to be conservative with him, and there's going to just be games that he doesn't play and stretches where they intentionally hold him out. They were really conservative with him last year, and he had another knee surgery since then. They'll be conservative with him. I mean, my hope for Rob is that he gets to play enough and a significant consecutive number of game stretch that we get to appreciate how good he is at basketball. But sitting here now, yeah, I don't know enough about where he's at health-wise, and he was very coy at media day about where he was at health-wise in terms of, he said, I have a return to, we have a plan for my return to action, a date picked out for return to action, but he declined to say when it was. If he's available, he'll be helpful in small doses, and if he's not available, it will be more of the unfortunate same for Rob. Let's talk Duop Reath Actually, let's do Blake Wesley in the second segment. Join me there. Before we do that, though, I want to tell you about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. They want to hook it up for football season right now. New customers to FanDuel can bet just $5. And if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets. That's right. Super simple. Here's how it works. Pick a bet you like. Put down $5. And if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app, however you want to wager. You can build your own parlays. You can mess around with player props. You can follow games live and bet quarters, halves, drives, what have you. You can bet money lines. You can bet point spreads. You can combine some combination of all those things I just mentioned into some elaborate wagers, and you can do that all on FanDuel. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app and get started today. All right. So let's keep it rolling. More season previews. We're going to go with Blake Wesley. Blake, one of the few newcomers to the Blazers roster. What did Blake do last year with the San Antonio Spurs? Well, he appeared in 58 games, averaged 3.7 points, 1.1 rebounds, and 2.0 assists. Shot 43.5% from the floor, 29.3% from three, and 62.3% from the free throw line. He came off the bench in all 58 of his appearances, playing 11.8 minutes per night. For his career, he played more his rookie year and kind of scaled down as he went. He's appeared in 156 games for the Spurs over his first 3 seasons. He's started 4 total games and played average 14 minutes a night across those games. Like he's been a low minute guy. He's a late first round pick who had an opportunity early, and typically just like with late first round picks, if you seize it, you're going to get a lot of opportunity, and if not, you're going to have to improve behind the scenes to get back into it. You are given a chance, and then you have to seize it from there. So, I think when the Spurs decided to move off Blake Wesley, he was traded with Malachi Brannon to Washington in exchange for Kelly Olynyk, a second round pick. It wasn't a big surprise. Hey, they got a lot of young guards. When you're a rebuilding team, you kind of take flyers on players, just sort of the natural roster churn. Hey, you wish that maybe that your late first round pick hit and he's a player, but it wasn't the case it wasn't the case in San Antonio. And when a place he lands in Washington, they've got a bunch of young guards, and they buy him out. But according to reporting from Joe Freeman, the wording on the actual article from Joe is kind of unclear exactly all the details of it, but basically, like, from what I gather, Blake Wesley's people saw an opportunity in Portland and they contacted the Blazers. Like, they were like, this is a chance. But what I see it as is like they said, this is a team that desperately needs more guard help, and Blake kind of like fits their ethos with that athleticism and defense stuff. So, he gets bought out his final year of his rookie deal on July 19th, and then he gave back a little bit of money in that buyout, $1.4 million, which I think is notable, right? That does kind of track to what Freeman is saying, is that the only reason you would give back money is because you had a deal already lined up. Well, of course, Blake Wesley signs with the Blazers, gets that guaranteed gets that guaranteed spot, and is now on the team. He's going to be your backup point guard. He like the spoiler for role and expectations. We'll get to that in a moment. But like because Scoot Henderson got hurt, all of a sudden now Blake Wesley's like going to play regular minutes when the season starts. Like absolutely, Chauncey Billups has been very clear that he wants to play a real point guard and not just kind of like have it be by committee with Denny Avdia and Shaedon Sharpe. Like he wants like a true table setter out there. My impressions of Wesley in preseason has been like, I think he gets around screens really, really well. Like navigating screens on defense, it is hard to get him off the ball. He is really attentive. Like he fits perfectly with their like they want to press mentality and how they want to defend. He's a really good athlete. He's very fast, and there's one thing about being like straight line fast, like guys who just run quickly and move quickly with the ball, but his ability to move laterally with speed and get skinny and get around screens and stay attached to ball handlers, like he's very good there. Occasionally maybe he gets like he's not like locking everybody up, but he's a good defender, right? He can kind of get beat off the dribble is what I was about to say, like because he's sort of people can leverage his speed against him because he's trying to stay with you and kind of like you catch it while he's still attached and quickly get back the other way. A couple times he's been beaten there just because probably because he's so dang close on the catch that he's maybe easier to leverage. But he's the screen navigation particularly on ball screens, and he's even done off the ball, but they switch off the ball stuff a lot. So I've been impressed with him. He's really solid there. What's the best case scenario for Blake Wesley is that he's a defensive minded backup point guard that fits the plan, and with his speed and with his defensive skill set, he figures out how he can score a little, and either as an improved shooter or as a finisher inside, like an opportunistic speed burst driver on his attacks. He's really fast with the ball, and the best case scenario is that he maybe doesn't have to become this great outside shooter and shooter off the dribble, but he fits into the offense, and when he has opportunities, straight line drives using your best asset, which is speed. And because he's set to get this cameo at the beginning of the season, the best case scenario is that he proves he deserves to play even when Scoot Henderson returns. And when the guard rotation is whole, Chauncey Billups feels compelled to also include Blake Wesley in that guard rotation because he earns more time granted to him by the situation that he finds himself at the beginning of the season. The best case scenario is that Wesley is impactful enough that one, the Blazers look very smart for taking a flyer on the former first round draft pick, and two, they suddenly have a crowded backcourt rotation after appearing to be a little bit light on guards when the season started. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that he just can't score. I think like the defense is not going to be that big of a deal because I think he's going to check that box. I'm not worried about that like going anywhere. But I would say in preseason, it's like, how does he score in the half court? I think the thing he can do really well is push the ball in transition, and that can be helpful. But if you can't score as a point guard, it's really hard to get everyone else involved because nobody is worried about you. So then if you're like an off-ball guy, because you're not creating many advantages off the dribble because they're going under screens and they're not, you don't get to use your gifts. If he's an off-ball guy and he's like a non-shooter, that is a problem. So the worst case scenario is that just the offense holds him back enough such that it becomes a challenge, and that the Blazers, even before Scoot Henderson comes back, are looking for solutions that aren't Blake Wesley. It's like, I think like, so he's going to play at the beginning of the year. He's going to play, 20 minutes a night or something off the bench. He's going to be your backup point guard. He's absolutely part of the rotation on night one. We'll see what happens when Scoot gets back. I assume that he won't play because otherwise I assumed he won't play, but we will see because he'll have, several weeks to kind of prove that he's capable of it. His passing, like per 36 per minute numbers for his career, he looks fine. Although I haven't seen him to be a high level passer at all in preseason, but it's preseason. It's very early. It's parts of 3 games. We shall see. The question is 52% of his shots last season were inside 4 feet. Half of his shots come inside 4 feet, right? He's a guy who gets to the rim, downhill attacker. That's what I said. It's like the speed burst stuff. Use your best skill. If you can't shoot, drive to the rim, be an attacker. But he shot 57% inside 4 feet, which is a 31st percentile among combo guards. bad finisher at the rim, even as a guy who gets there with frequently. And plus, he's like, he's a under career 29.7% career 3-point shooter. He's only taken 165 threes in 156 games. Low volume for sure, but also low accuracy. So there's a chance that the shooting is a little bit better, although I don't think we've seen that in preseason thus far. Again, parts of 3 games as I'm recording this is not very much. The offense is the question for me. The role is clear. The defense is clear. It's just that offensive ceiling, I think, is the question for Blake. Okay. Let's talk Duop Reath to close the show, finishing out our season previews. Join me in that third segment, won't ya? First, though, let's talk Wayfair. The holidays are going to be here before you know it, which is exciting, but getting your home ready for guests and celebrations can feel like a lot. Maybe your serveware needs a refresh, or maybe your guest room could use some new bedding. Wayfair has everything you need to get your home holiday ready. From Christmas trees and wreaths to bedding, cookware, and outdoor inflatables, it's your one-stop shop for every room in the house. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection for every style and every budget. And with free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff, you can get everything you need without the hassle of huge delivery fees. So if you are looking to spruce up, revamp, or just even maybe restyle something as we head towards the end of the year and the time when families often gather together and friends as well, Wayfair is going to have you covered. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Today's program also brought to you by Game Time. It's basketball season. I know what you want to do. You want to get into the arena because nothing is better than being there, feeling the juice when Young Hansen Euro step righty flip over some unsuspecting backup center who can't hang. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. If you've been waiting in queues or surprise fees looking for stuff, for tickets that you thought were one price, and then you get to checkout and it's like, oh, they're totally different. It's easy just to get frustrated when all you want to do is get into the building and cheer on your team. Cheer on your favorite rookie center. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives you the advantage. It's made for fans. It's the ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. You can use their zone deals. You say, I want to sit in this section. Game Time picks your seats and you save big. You can find NBA tickets for under $25. And you can quickly browse, pull up the app, look at the arena, quickly browse seats everywhere, find the best deals. They'll indicate some of their hottest deals right there in a clean, easy-to-use app. It takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. That's what Game Time does. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. All right, still a pass first point guard. Still Mike Richmond. You are still listening to Locked on Blazers. Let's close it out. Duop Reath. Part of me is sad that season previews are ending right now. The other part of me is elated because it means the season is here and basketball is going to happen. What did Duop Reath do last year? Appeared in 46 games, averaged 4.2 points, 2 boards, and 0.6 assists, shot 42.2% from the field, including 32.1% from three-point range and 90.9% from the free throw line. You foul Duop, that boy's going in. He's going to make those free throws. Average across those 46 games, played 10.2 minutes per night and did not start a single contest in his second NBA season. He just was out of the rotation early. He appeared in just 28 of the first 59 games. And in those 28 appearances, he only played double-digit minutes in 4 of those games. And he only played 20-plus in one of those games. It was a 42-point home loss to the Jazz in which DeAndre Ayton got benched in the opening minutes of the third quarter because Chauncey Billups did not like his spirits. And when DeAndre Ayton and his poor spirit went to the bench, Duop Reath got one of his only early season major appearances, major cameos. But After 59 games, he kind of got to play a lot more. He played in 19 of the final 23 games. So like you get past the All-Star break and you get some Duop time. Starting at the end of February, he in those final 19 games, he played 17 minutes a night, averaged 6 points, 3 boards, and shot about the same, 32.4% from 3. This is who Duop was. His rookie year, he was thrust into a major role due to injuries, and he was really good as a starter right away. And it's like, oh, maybe this dude is a hooper. And he was shooting 38% from 3. He had some off the dribble game, and then just like he played a bunch more that season. And like a lot of players, if he gets, if he's in a specific role, he can thrive. And when you get overexposed and asked to do more, he struggled, and he's kind of he showed down the stretch of his rookie season. It's like, yeah, he's probably just playing too much for a guy of his skill set, and he just didn't play nearly as much last year. They had DeAndre Ayton, they drafted Donovan Clingan, they had Rob Williams, who they were working in for most of the season until the All-Star break, and Reath was just he was a depth piece, and he's going to be back in a familiar role there in a second. But let's do best and worst case scenarios for Duop Reath. What's the best case scenario for Duop Reath? It's that he's a functional backup that shoots well enough from 3 to graduate from situational usage to a regular rotation choice, because his skill set is not something the Blazers get with their other lineups featuring center types. The best case scenario is that Duop Reath is a dude they need because he's unique, and then when he gets an opportunity, he graduates from being a unique, this matchup might be good for Duop, we need a change of pace, to being like, you know what, he's playing enough that he needs to be a regular part of the plan. And the worst case scenario for Duop Reath is he's a player on the margins who doesn't quite have the impact to be more than a situational player, and is exposed whenever he's asked to scale up into larger and less tailored roles. When it's specific to his skill set, Duop can do that his thing. And the worst case scenario is that in situations that aren't specific to his skill set, when he has to, be more of a rim protecting anchor, when he's getting put in pick and rolls and his lateral quickness is an issue, when there's just like a really big center and the fact that he's like 6'8" comes up too often, the worst case scenario is that all of those things come up so regularly is that you kind of say like, yeah, Duop Reath is the third center and would be fourth if they were healthy, and that's right where he belongs. And the worst case scenario is that when he hits restricted free agency in 2026, his NBA journey appears to be done. I straight up love Duop Reath as a person. He's an incredibly nice guy. He's a great interview. I had a chat with him earlier this preseason that I will share with you in a future episode, where he's just like he's forthcoming and he's honest and he's funny and he's just like he just has a certain earnestness about him, and his story's incredible, man. He escaped South Sudan with his family during a civil war. They moved to Perth, Western Australia, the most isolated capital city on the globe. And then he chased the dream everywhere, all over the stinking map. He played in China. He played in Lebanon. He played professionally in Australia. He played in Louisiana in college. Like, he chased it all over the map, made the NBA at 28, and realized his dream, converted very quickly from two-way player to NBA contracts. What a cool story. But the worst case scenario is that this is the end of the line for Duop, because the league is unforgiving and because he is on the fringes of it as a depth piece at his age, in a league that just does not care for gentlemen after they hit 30. Will say, hey, we gave you a chance, it didn't work out, best of luck to ya. What's the role and expectations for Duop? It's that he plays sometimes. He's not going to play much, but I think he's going to play sometimes. I think it'll be very similar to last year when he appeared in about, this 28 of 59, but let's call it 30 of the first 60 games, and basically only spot minutes and cleanup minutes. Again, he over the first 59 games of the Blazers season, he played double-digit minutes 4 times. He's just not going to play that much. And I think that's it. Like, he's the fourth center on the roster. And despite what your friend Lil Davey says, he cannot realistically play power forward for any stretch in the NBA. And he certainly cannot play power forward. And I think this is the actual part. With any regularity in the system the Blazers want to play defensively. They want to pressure. They want to get out and pressure and chase and switch. And that's not what Duop's going to do. If he could do that, he would already play. And if he was a little bigger, he wouldn't be the third or fourth center. Like, he's an interesting change of pace, kind of smaller big, but he doesn't give you a true small ball look because he doesn't have the ball handling. And like, when he was an above average shooter, when he first came into the league, it's like, yes, this dude can hoop. And he's kind of settled into being a slightly below average shooter. And if that's the case, he's probably on the fringes. I'm going to root for him. As you know, selfishly, I like him. But like, I am able to separate the sort of realism of the harshness of the NBA with my personal preferences for people I like. And I like Duop can't play power forward because he just doesn't have the skill set for it. Although your friend Lil Davey loves anyone who can shoot a three-pointer. Your friend Lil Davey always says can play power forward. Lil Davey's wrong. We all know Lil Davey. Some of you are a Lil Davey. And let me tell you, Lil Davey, you don't know. That's a record for most times I've said that name on the show, something I made up after 30 minutes of recording. That is going to do it for this program and all of these. Shout out Lil Davey. Come back for tomorrow's program. We actually have one more of these. I forgot at the top of the show. I screwed it up. My apologies to Ryan Rupert. Ryan Rupert we're going to do his player preview tomorrow, unless some fat newsy stuff comes in after for the Blazers' final preseason game. They play the Jazz in Salt Lake City in a game that I think will be pretty bench heavy. So I think we might see a lot of Ryan Rupert. So I saved him for that. We'll talk about that. That will be the end of our player previews. Again, you can find all of these in a playlist on YouTube or just search season previews in your pod catcher of choice. And then come back for tomorrow's show. We'll recap what happens in the Jazz game if there's any big news, but obviously I'll give you some my thoughts on that game, and we'll talk Ryan Rupert. And then next week, the season is here. I've got a really fun show planned for Monday. We'll do preview stuff, including my most intriguing lineup on Tuesday. And as we look ahead, a straight up game happening on Wednesday night. We'll have 3 preview shows. We'll have real basketball games. The season is here. I'm so excited. Tell your friends about the program. That's how it works in the modern world. You know, people say like, subscribe, leave a review. I think all that stuff's awesome. Please do that. On YouTube, there's an algorithm. On the audio space, I'm going to need you to tell your friends. I'm going to need you to tell your friends. I'm going to need you to say to your friend, hey, the Blazers season is here. I listen to Locked On Blazers. You will like it too. In fact, if you made it this far, however you're listening to this episode, share it with one person you know who maybe doesn't listen or maybe hasn't listened in a while to the program, and bring them back, because we're going to grow this thing. We're going to have a lot of fun. The season is going to be pretty darn intriguing. That hasn't always been the case over the last few years. Tap back in. Let's go. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.